Al-Rawi was made Attorney General by Keith Rowley. Faris Al-Rawi came in as Attorney General, and the first thing he did was recuse himself from cabinet 50 times to benefit himself, his family, his close family, and his friends. He recused himself and changed the paradigm of governance, corporate governance, structure, propriety, what is right in a cabinet, and those decision makers changed the benchmark for life. That a cabinet minister could step out and have coffee while his colleagues approve $23 million, which has transformed now to $46.6 million in rent over the last 7 years, plus a further $38 million of taxpayers' money to outfit his building to benefit himself. Faris Al-Rawi was not only a disgrace, losing 30 cases in a row, but he brought some of the worst legislation in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, and at every juncture, his legislation brought has been overturned by the courts of law. Faris Al-Rawi right now and Reginald Armour, including the cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago, there is no legislative agenda. On Tuesday, the Senate did not sit. We are here on Friday, and the Parliament does not sit because they have no laws, they have no ideas, they have no concepts, they have no ability to impact your lives. They are running this government like a parlor, and even you who run parlors could do a better job. Port of Spain is dead. The rent for sale, alquiler in Spanish, benga, all of those, over 40% of buildings that were in operation and conducting business in 2015 when Kamla Persad Bissessa was Prime Minister have closed down. The city of Port of Spain is dead, and they are fighting and loggerheads. But the PNM has been in charge of the city of Port of Spain as long as Port of Spain has been independent since 1962 and even before. But the Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi, we are going to deal with him now, because an Attorney General sets the tone. The cabinet consists of the Prime Minister and the Attorney General. The UNC, the United National Congress, and Kamla Persad Bissessa brought a critical issue to the fore 2 years ago. And it involved an amalgam of serious players, but had dire consequences for our democracy. It showed possibilities of bribery, inducements, manipulation, perverting the course of justice, interfering with witnesses in criminal proceedings, interfering in the very appointment of a police commissioner. All of these were intertwined in what the UNC brought forward, and was illustrated by the transfer or lack thereof of a Porsche Cayenne vehicle from one Attorney General, Faris Al-Rawi, to an attorney, Roger Kewal Singh, who was also simultaneously on the Police Service Commission and a lawyer representing Vincent Nelson, a man who changed his testimony and his advice on the Malcolm Jones issue, which allowed the PNM to thwart a case that the Kamla Persad Bissessa administration had brought against Malcolm Jones to recoup £98 million of your money. Keith Rowley, Stuart Young, who was the former attorney of Malcolm Jones, Faris Al-Rawi, and the PNM took it out of court, and we were the laughing stock of the Privy Council because of political interference in the judicial process. That was Vincent Nelson, who changed his detailed senior counsel opinion to a one paragraph to say that the case would not be successful. This same Vincent Nelson is the one who Faris Al-Rawi negotiated an indemnity which will live in infamy in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and the Commonwealth as an Attorney General overstepping his bounds, breaching the Constitution, and going into the realm of the independent office of the DPP to interfere, to interface, to negotiate, to discuss, to bribe, to pay fees, to pay court cases, to settle matters, to pay legal fees for a man who confessed to criminal activity to turn witness in a criminal proceeding against opposition members. There can be nothing more corrupt than that. And the UNC brought out and said, here it is that an attorney general selling his car, the only person out of 1.4 million Trinbagonians and 200,000 illegal Venezuelans, the only person that the Honorable Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi could find to sell his Porsche Cayenne to was Roger Kewal Singh, an attorney for a man in a negotiation with an illegal indemnity to persecute and prosecute two political opponents. Could Faris not sell his car to anyone else? But then the issues came up about non-transfer. You have 2 weeks to transfer by law. 4 or 5 years. The Transport Commissioner Clive could not find it. Then he came to say that we cannot say yes or no whether it was transferred. Faris Al-Rawi proffered a letter to say that he sent some lady to transfer it. That is illegal. You cannot do that. But he also printed in the Express some check purporting to be 600,000 payment from Roger Kewal Singh to Faris Al-Rawi for the Porsche Brown Cayenne and 2012 PCY 84. Faris Al-Rawi came into the Parliament during the appropriation bill debate on Friday, 8 October 2021, and in responding to the queries of the opposition about this sale or non-sale, lack of transfer, how much you paid, did you pay, why did you sell to this person, didn't you think it was a conflict of interest? Faris Al-Rawi said in his arrogant tone on the Friday the 8th October 2021, I can tell you that in item 6 here is what described and filed in the Integrity Commission. A Porsche Cayenne and in that asked me to confirm that the sale of that same vehicle, he said PCS 84, declared to them since 2016 was to be included under the heading Gains and Profits, Disposal of Motor Vehicles. It is a matter of record at the Integrity Commission, says Faris Al-Rawi, that I replied on the 26th of February 2021, confirming that inquiry. Well, many people, including myself, let that pass, moved on to other issues, other scandals like Nelson Gate, Police Service Commission, corruption in the PNM, the school crisis, crime crisis. But something clicked in my mind and we went on to do some further research. And it has come to my attention and the attention of the United National Congress that Faris Al-Rawi in fact owned in 2016, January 1st, 2 Porsche Cayennes. One PCY 84, a black 2012, brown 2012 model that was the subject of all the inquiries about being sold to Roger Kewal Singh. And another one, PCS 84, a black Porsche Cayenne 2010 model that he also sold in early 2016 to one Zahir Mohammed or another citizen. The current owner now is Zahir Mohammed. So if you all are not following or if it's confusing, because it could be confusing to a normal citizen, who would think that anybody would have 2 Porsche Cayennes within 2 years of each other, first and foremost? And then secondly, who would think that a human being would take the same number, PCS 84, and then PCY 84? Who would think that that is possible? But it is in the mind of Faris Al-Rawi, and in actuality, he owned 2 Porsche Cayennes. So therefore, one, Faris Al-Rawi, we will have a lot of questions for you. But what we are saying here in the United National Congress is if in his filings for 2016, Faris Al-Rawi did not disclose or declare to the Integrity Commission the sale of 2 separate, disparate Porsche Cayennes, one being PCY 84 and one being PCS 84 for the exact same price of 600,000, totaling 1.2 million, then the police need to talk to Faris Al-Rawi. Earl Christopher, your fraud squad needs to investigate and take a statement from Faris Al-Rawi. Now, you must understand that this is a very critical matter. So members of the media, because we believe that the media is the key to democracy, I will leave you here with some questions for Faris Al-Rawi, for the Integrity Commission, for Mr. Roger Kewalsing, and for Mr. Clive Clark, the Transport Commissioner, because this is a very serious matter, as I said. It shows potential corruption, bribery, influence, intimidation, machinations, lies, concoctions, misbehavior in public office, and attempting to thwart the course of justice. Faris Al-Rawi, former Attorney General, did you own two separate Porsche vehicles in or on January 1st, 2016? Were the registration numbers of these two Porsche Cayenne vehicles PCY 84 and PCS 84? Was PCS 84 a black 2010 Porsche model? Was PCY 84 a brown 2012 model? Did you sell both of these Porsche vehicles in the period 2016? Did you declare the sale of both of these vehicles to the Integrity Commission for the period covering early 2016? Did you sell both of these vehicles around the same time in early 2016 for the exact same price of 600,000? If so, please explain how a 2010 model can be the same price as a 2012 model, both being sold in January, February of 2016. Did you make two separate bank deposits for 600,000 in early 2016? Please, provide your bank statements to show the deposits. And if you do not, Earl Christopher, you should produce production orders to investigate those accounts. Did you mislead the Parliament and the country, Faris Al-Rawi, when you stated that PCS 84 on Hansard and you referred to the same vehicle in 2021 when you then stated PCY 84? Did you transfer, Faris Al-Rawi, PCY 84 to Roger Kewalsing in January 2016? Did you receive and deposit a check from Roger Kewalsing in January 2016? Please show us the cancelled check after it was deposited, the statement of your account in January 2016 showing a deposit of 600,000 from Roger Kewalsing and a deposit from Zahir Mohammed or another citizen for another 600,000, totaling 1.2 million in January, February 2016. What is your superstition about 84, Faris Al-Rawi? The country would like to know, because it seems to be that the government is unstable. You are now in local government. Local government is collapsing. Corporations are being starved of money. Maybe it is because we are not in 1984, or you're not playing basketball in an 84 jersey, or you like 84 Porsches and you have 82. We don't know what is your obsession with 84. And also finally for you, Faris, how were you able to get the exact same number 2 years apart from the Transport Commissioner? How is that possible? I'm sure a lot of citizens would like to know how you're so lucky to get that exact number. To the Integrity Commission, questions for you. For the 2016 reporting period, did Faris Al-Rawi, then Attorney General, declare proceeds from sale of assets being $1.2 million, or i.e., two Porsche vehicles being sold in that period? Were the registration numbers of these two vehicles, PCS 84 and PCY 84, declared at that time? In his previous year's filings, Did Faris Al-Rawi file these two vehicles, PCS 84 and PCY 84, either as assets or liabilities as loans for the purchase of these vehicles? In his filings for the period 2017 and 2018 after the said sale, did these vehicles, PCS 84 and PCY 84, form any part of his filings for those years? In 2021 Integrity Commission, did the Integrity Commission have cause to write to Faris Al-Rawi seeking clarification for PCY 84? Did you have the need to get clarification? If so, what was the reason for the query? Why would there need to be a query if, as Faris said, everything was above board and he had declared in 2016 PCY 84 being sold for $600,000? Why would you need to query in 2021? Did you, Integrity Commission, allow Faris Al-Rawi to correct a previous omission to declare PCY 84? Did you allow him to do that in 2021? If so, should this have been allowed? Is this consistent with the policy and the law of the Integrity in Public Life Act? Why was he allowed to do so if he was allowed to do so? Should action have been taken for failure to declare? And if so, why was this action not taken by the Integrity Commission? And now for Commissioner of Police Erla Christopher, who seems eager to investigate, and I wish her all the best. Will you investigate this matter, Erla Christopher, of the missing Porsche? Will you get statements from Roger Kewal Singh and Faris Al-Rawi? Will you get the bank statements of both men for the period January and February 2016? Will you find out from which bank account did Roger Kewal Singh pay into what bank account of Faris Al-Rawi's? Which checkbook? If they are not willing to show you this offhand, will you produce production orders and get a warrant for these accounts? And to Roger Kewal Singh, do you find it appropriate to buy a vehicle from the Attorney General when you are on the Police Service Commission? You are an attorney receiving briefs from the government, and the Attorney General is the one who is in charge of distributing briefs throughout. Do you not find it to be a conflict of interest? Could you not buy a Porsche Cayenne from Inshant Ismail or from whichever motors there along the highways, Porsche, or from any other dealer in Trinidad and Tobago, or any other citizen who wanted to sell a second-hand Porsche? Did you think it appropriate to buy the Attorney General's Porsche when you are benefiting from the largesse being offered by an Attorney General, Roger Kewal Singh? In Trinidad and Tobago, we see and we ask these questions because there are many other issues. But one has to ask why. Why is the PNM thwarting the work of the DPP? Why is the PNM under-resourcing the Children's Authority in light of a Judith Jones report 15 months ago showing and alluding to abuses of the highest order? One would think that a government who had a Judith Jones report would overfund the Children's Authority, would keep it to its maximum capacity, hire more people to protect our children. You would think that a government facing the worst crime scourge in our history would ensure that the DPP's office and the judiciary is working flawlessly. So why PNM? Why Rowley? Why are you starving these critical agencies of funding? I proffer there are some cases that the cabinet would benefit if the judicial system crunches to an halt. We are still awaiting information and the completion of the Camille Robinson Reggie's cash 143,000 deposit and false declaration. What happened to that? Where is that investigation? We're still waiting on the fake oil investigation and report of the police. When Gary Griffith was there, he said that all he needed was an expert to verify. Where is that? Where are those resources? The UNC would like updates on the investigation into Keith Rowley. on his declaration and lack thereof of his Inez Gate property and his lack of declaring a benefit of $468,000 on the purchase, as well as the declaration of a false piece of information stating that the value of the Inez Gate property was $1.2 million when he paid $36,400 in stamp duty, which equates to a value of $1.68 million, did not declare. Where's the investigation in that? Lack of declaration is a criminal offense. What about the misbehavior in public office that Senator Nakid has been asking the DPP and the police on Rowley's intervention with Paula May Weeks to force Bliss C. Prasad, a public official, to misbehave in public office and breach section 123(4) of the Constitution? Where is that investigation? Where is the investigation into a teacher in 1969 who used his position of power to have sexual intercourse with a girl of school age and impregnate that girl? Where is the investigation into that? There is no statute of limitations on that investigation. Where is the investigation on Foster Cummins and Venture Credit Union? How did MTS pay money to Venture Credit Union, not having any contract with them to do any work whatsoever, and then Venture Credit Union depositing that money into the personal account of Foster Cummins, a PNM minister? Where has that investigation reached? What about the investigation into Keith Rowley for Emailgate and wasting police time because he knew what he had was not emails? He knew he was lying. His Hansard record is replete with investigations and examples of why he was coming to lie, and he did not take ownership of anything he had. He held those fake documents for 6 months while he claims someone's life was in jeopardy. Isn't that not wasting police time? Isn't there a criminal charge called wasting police resources? And the DPP is now being blamed by Keith Christopher Rowley for shirking his duty and not doing his job. Rowley is dangerous to the democracy.
Roberts for that comprehensive expose. Now, members of the media, there are some issues I would like to elaborate upon, given what my slave owners and masters of this plantation, with the vast majority of citizens being their private property, that they can do anything they want with. They can abuse the people at will, be secret and complacent, lacking transparency and accountability in all that they do. And what are we witnessing today? We are witnessing a situation where the Prime Minister, just a few and Tobago that the wheels of justice turn very slowly, but it eventually turns. And he has no complaint, no problems whatsoever with what has happened in the courts. Read the discontinuation of the corruption case. And as he said that in one breath, in the other breath, what did he do, Anil? He launched an all-out assault on the office of Director of Public Prosecutions. Is it because of this? But it can't be. The DPP has been complaining, as Anil said, for several years now, as it relates to the shortage of staff. Was it about the building that the government acquired for 3 years, paying millions upon millions of dollars, and that building is still not occupied? Why did the Prime Minister use a political platform and not the Parliament if he wanted to raise issues surrounding the operations of the Office of Director of Public Prosecutions? No. You know why he went like a raging bull and attacked the independent office of the DPP? He didn't say it, but he said it. The Prime Minister is unhappy with the DPP's decision, Anil, to discontinue the corruption case against Basdio Pandey and Oma Pandey, Carlos John and Ishwa Galbran Singh. And he comes out openly and attacks the office of Director of Public Prosecutions. And not only did he attack by making all kinds of statements last evening, he talked about relations to attack the independent, constitutionally protected office of our Director of Public Prosecutions. We wish to strongly and wrongly condemn the conduct of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is seeking to undermine and subvert the independent office of the DPP. Is he trying to frustrate Roger Gaspard, into leaving the office of the DPP? What is the objective of the Prime Minister? He quoted some letter from some woman called, I think she's the Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions. some Joan Honoré Paul. But he spoke about her in glowing terms. But in the case of Gaspard, he was bitter, rancorous, as he unleashed fire and brimstone on the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. May I remind Trinidad and Tobago and the people of this country, the Solicitor General who resigned, or when I say resigned, retired, about a year or just under ago, appeared to have been under the complete control of the former Attorney General. The former Attorney General, who Anna just referenced, sought to control the independent office of the Chief Parliamentary Council, the CPC. Mr. Ian McIntyre, had to fight back the attempt by Faris Al-Rawi to control his office. They were trying to control the CPC. And no doubt, this assault by the Prime Minister on the office of the independent DPP is a continuation of the assault, attack, subversion, and undermining of these independent office. And if I may remind you, the Chief Justice has also been raising issues about Gaspard. He has been attacking in close quote, open and close quotes. He has been raising issues about this office holder. So the question that Trinidad and Tobago is asking, is there some kind of relationship between the both offices? This is what the people are asking. Is there an attempt to get rid of the office holder, Roger Gaspard? These are questions. I cast no aspersions, but these are questions that people are asking. Members of the public, members of the media, I want to let you know that the media was attacked openly last night by this Prime Minister. You know, people are beginning to ask the question whether the Prime Minister is showing early symptoms of long COVID, because his conduct, his behavior, his utterances is being questioned now. He said he can't remember sitting down by some owner of a famous brothel in Trinidad and Tobago. He can't remember that. And there's a picture of the man in almost animated conversation with this individual. But he says he can't remember. He tells us he can't remember whining on a 17-year-old child at a carnival event in San Fernando. He can't remember. In fact, he turned it around. He said, she whined on he. He didn't whine on she. He can't remember. It reminds me when they broke the US sanctions and allowed a flight to come in from Venezuela during COVID. And all these people went to diplomatic center, that delegation led by the vice president. And when they asked him about it, he said he can't remember. He didn't know these people. So the question here, is the Prime Minister suffering from amnesia? Is he suffering from dementia? Is he suffering from long COVID? I think the time has come when the people of Trinidad and Tobago must demand a fitness certificate, Is the Prime Minister in good health? He must provide to the people of this country a fitness certificate to determine if he's in good health, because he's making outrageous statements. He attacks the media. Why? Because the media is doing its work. He's telling the media, when you're doing your work, you must go and do this and that. I didn't know he was the editor of the Express, or he was the editor of the Guardian, or the editor of the Newsday. You know what is happening? This man believes he's a tin god dictator. He believes he's a modern day plantation owner. He believes that he can tell people what he wants, when he wants. Well, I have a message for him, you know. You see in the UNC? He asked that Wade Mack and Anil Roberts and Kamala and Rodney Charles leave him alone. Well, let me tell the Prime Minister, there will be no leaving you alone. We will continue to expose your corrupt ways in this country until you are removed by the people lawfully through a general elections in this country. He did not stop there when he attacked the media, you know. He attacked Justice Buru Singh. He attacked a judge. A judge that sits on the bench as we speak, because he was not happy with the then Attorney General going to the courts, telling the courts, listen, it makes no sense extraditing these people who are charged with corruption. There's a case going on, it will be heard here, and that is the right place for it to be heard. Justice Buru Singh, as an independent judge, supported the submission. The Prime Minister last night waded into Justice Buru Singh. Why would you raise the name of Justice Buru Singh, or if not the name? Why would you refer to that case? It is a subtle attack on the independence of the judiciary in our country. So this raging bull is not only attacking the office of the DPP, the media houses, but he's also attacking the judiciary of our nation. I want to remind the media, he seems to be obsessed with Cambridge Analytica. I want to remind the media that the pink hair fella who made all kinds of allegations against the UNC, when the police went to London to beat him, he cannot be found. The pink hair man cannot be found. And may I remind Dr. Rowley, if he is suffering from amnesia or long COVID, that case has been closed. Cambridge Analytica is dead. Just like Emailgate was closed. The former Commissioner of Police closed the file on Emailgate. And no amount of quoting from Joan Paul Honoré will reopen that case. The Integrity Commission throw out that case, that matter. The Police Commissioner closed that matter. Google closed that matter. But Rowley has opened it. I know why he has opened it. I'll tell you why. You see this? You see this article? He ran like a rabbit in a hole because he did not want to speak on this issue. We are going to bolt to the chest of Keith Christopher Rowley and his gang of 40 thieves. This matter. And you know what's the name of the team? Jorge. Team Jorge. Led by a fellow called Al-Hanan. Journalists like your good self went underground in France and they discovered an Israeli covert team that was operating in England and in France, conducting campaigns of disinformation in order to have a determination on the outcome of elections in England and France. And they discovered accidentally a businessman named who our former Prime Minister referred to on Monday night. She simply asked, Mr. Andrew Gabriel, could you tell us if you are the big businessman with deep pockets that was hired, or you hired this team from Israel to draw up what? The email gate. Email gate was drawn up by an Israeli team called Team Jorge. Jorge. And you know what? The Prime Minister must tell us, what role did he play in this matter? This is a criminal matter involving the Prime Minister. And Ola Hereward Christopher should call in the Prime Minister and have this matter investigated. And this businessman with deep pockets, who is purported to have recruited this particular covert team from Israel that hacked into the emails of the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago between 2010 and 2015. So members of the media, these are the issues that the Prime Minister wanted to avoid. But I want to tell him he can't avoid it. They are facing you, Mr. Prime Minister. What say you on this big businessman with deep pockets, closely connected with your party, that hired a team called Jorge? And they hacked and they constructed. They were the architects of the email gate. The emails. The email gate. And you want to run from that? And I'm quoting Honoré Paul? No, Mr. Prime Minister. Fake news. Lies. And as I'm on this one, let me just indicate to you. When our leader talked about persecution of UNC members, that is a fact, Mr. Prime Minister. Mr. Prime Minister, if you don't know, let me remind you of a Privy Council judgment. Look at here. Look at the Privy Council judgment here. 5 law lords sat on an appeal matter and they ruled. I want the media, I don't have the time, but I would like the media to pay attention to the role of the former Attorney General, a fellow called John Jeremy. Look at paragraph 77. Read paragraph 78, 79, 80. Read paragraph 86 of this report. And paragraph 86, right, of this report says that when all the various sources of concern are considered together, the observer would be likely to agree with the appellant's submission that the January 2008, by 2008, the chief magistrate was hopelessly compromised. This is what they said. Sherman McNichols, he's dead and may his soul rest in peace. But he went into a deal involving $400,000 that was arranged for him while he was sitting on a matter involving Basdio Pandey. That is what, and the court dismissed the effort by the government and whoever appealed, the Attorney General office. And that is why Mr. Pandey won his case. So what is that? That is political manipulation of the system by this corrupt PNM government. So don't come and tell the country everything was done above board. What was done above board? Read the judgment of the Privy Council, and it tells you the political machinations of the PNM, former Attorney General, in this matter, and the sitting Chief Magistrate, Sherman McNichols. That is what this is about. So don't come here and try to mama guide the population. The Prime Minister is unfit for office. He's unfit for office. And he's talking about the day of reckoning. Yes, the day of reckoning is coming, Mr. Prime Minister. You sat for 7 years and you failed to proclaim and operationalize the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Property Act. The regulator said for every year that passed without that act being proclaimed and operationalized, we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, lost close to $6 billion. So in a 7-year period, we lost $42 billion. Thanks to Dr. Keith Rowley and his gang of 40 thieves. We lost $40 billion because of his failure to proclaim and operationalize. And he's talking about integrity. He's talking about white-collar crime and criminality. So what is this? This is white-collar criminality that you are promoting, you are facilitating, and you refuse to proclaim the law. And you come like a hypocrite, lies dripping from your lips, trying to redeem yourself. Hellfire for you, Mr. Dr. Rowley. Hellfire awaits you. You have brought our country to its knees, and you're blaming everybody. The latest one, he blaming Biden in the United States. He tells Biden, the most powerful country in the world, the United States. He tells President Biden, put your house in order. Take care, them gun manufacturers who let gun come down here, you take care of that. I want to tell the Prime Minister, there's exit and there's entry. So even though guns are exiting the United States, it's coming in here, entry. And it is coming through legal ports. What is the Prime Minister doing? He's allowing these guns to come into this country without any proper scanners in place. And then you want to blame the customs officer. You want to blame the police. You want to blame other security personnel. You can't be serious, man. Yes, man. Yes. And just even if you look in today's papers, you will see where a gentleman by the name of Gavin Hirad,
security expert,
as a security expert, saying if you want to deal with human trafficking, fix the borders, fix it, close your borders, regulate your borders. Ladies and gentlemen, in closing, I want to go back to a gentleman who lied openly, brazenly to the courts in Florida. His Grace Attorney General. Look at it here in your papers. Sunday Express. He failed to file. Failed to file, you know. We want to ask who is going to pay for this? The millions of dollars in the removal of the general manager of the deposit insurance company. We have these questions for Mr. Reginald Amo before I close. Given that you missed the Dance Corporation, they dismissed this gentleman back then. So I asked the Attorney General, why did you miss the deadline for filing statements in this matter? Do you, Mr. Attorney General, intend to indemnify, reimburse the people of Trinidad and the were you insured for professional negligence at the material time? And have you given notice to your insurers about this matter to ascertain whether the would in Chambers, Vanessa Gopal, and Elena Arajo for the state in why? Do you think this matter should be reported to the disciplinary committee of the Law Association? These are questions that we have. And for Mr. Alvin, to the public, and we want Hillier, Dr. Alvin Hillier, to answer this.
neighbor.
Has the DIC requested a refund of the legal fees paid to Mr. Amon to remove them? And finally, does the Deposit Insurance Corporation intend to sue Reginald Amon, Gopal, right, and Elena Arajo in other legal matters? And if so, willing to take any questions from the media on what we have just intimated and shared with the national community. So we'll pause at this time and invite the media to ask any questions to my colleague and myself on the issues that we have raised.
Or will be.
What are you talking about specifically?
Both what you raised, more specifically, what that was brought to the attention of the police. I know you publicly called on the commissioner to intervene, but have you?
Well, first and foremost, I would like the media to get these questions so that the police can do their job. However, now that you have suggested it, because you see, the UNC believes that independent institutions should function without being prodded, without being political. So for the UNC to put it and to make a report, we would hope that the information coming from the opposition through the independent media would facilitate an independent institution to act. If they do not act, then yes, the UNC will make the police report full and provide all the information.
I just want to add to my colleague, human trafficking. That discussion, arguments were raging in the public space. What did Ella here, what Christopher do? She didn't wait for anybody to write her, The commissioner of police thought this matter was so serious. She did her own investigations and she ordered a probe into this matter. So as Anil said, not everything you have to write to the police. Once it is in the public domain, that is why I asked for the police to investigate this matter of the email gate with the hacking of the former Prime Minister's service. Her email were hacked. And there's an architect that brought the email gate scandal into being. A rich businessman closely connected to the PNM. We have called on the Commissioner of Police to have this matter investigated. The Prime Minister has to answer questions on this issue of email gate. Any further questions from the media?
Yeah, let's follow up on that. The reason why I asked whether or not you do that, in the past they have been saying that without a report, they can't act. Somebody needs to report an offense or what they think might be an offense for the police to act. Lately, they have been launching investigations without official reports, but you would still need a complainant in a matter. Which are complainant in a matter. So, again, would you all be making an official report?
Well, as you have noticed, that is an excuse that is used. The police have the power under the Constitution to investigate any matter that they deem or they have reasonable suspicion exists. The police is a very powerful interface with the Police Service Commission, who's in charge of selecting and recommending members of the public who would like to serve as the independent commissioner of police. It is a very dangerous thing. From the said, they should independently begin the investigation. Am I, now that you have suggested, going to report? I can tell you, if I do not see movement in 8 days, I will go and report and give the police and show the media my report registration, my slip and so on, all the information that I have. But we truly believe, as a United National Congress government, that independent institutions must act on their own. Integrity Commission should not need to be prodded. The police should not need to be prodded. The Children's Authority should act without report. Once they feel that there could be something going wrong, investigate and protect children. Independent offices like the DPP, a UNC government under Kamala Prasad Bisesa, gave the DPP money without any discussion. So they were up at 85% of their quota of lawyers and so on. They are now below 35%. They cannot operate because Keith Rowley's cabinet willfully withholds resources from the DPP, and then the Prime Minister comes to attack him. The UNC is totally separate and apart from Keith Rowley. Keith Rowley wants to control every arm of government. Kamala Prasad Bisesa has shown that when she has executive power, she controls and she allows corporate governance to flow. One person for one board, one member to one board. I see in today's papers a lady, Ingrid Lashley, for example, speaking out on matters. She is on 9 different boards of the PNM. She is Keith Rowley's neighbor. In Inez Gate, where Keith Rowley lives, right next door is Alvin Hilaire, the central bank governor, who should be independent. But he got his job. How? Because they fired Jawala Rambaran, and the acting president, Christine Kangaloo, approved the firing of Jawala Rambaran and then the upliftment of Alvin Hilaire, who's Rowley's neighbor. Also Rowley's neighbor, Newman George, on 7 boards. Also Rowley's neighbor, Bridget Anisette George, the Speaker of the House. Also Rowley's neighbor, Gilbert Peterson, lawyer for the Commission of Inquiry into Paria, man who's now in bunkering. Interlocking directorships mean corruption. Rowley came to Parliament and gutted procurement legislation which is there to protect the money. That means you're making it easier for people to steal. So the UNC believes independent institutions must act. If they do not act, then I am taking your advice and I will, on behalf of the UNC, make the report to the police.
Any further questions, members of the media?
Nothing else?
That's it. Okay, members of the media, on behalf of my colleague, Senator Anil Roberts, on behalf of the United National Congress, the alternative government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, we'd like to thank you on behalf of our political leader and leader of the opposition and this country's next Prime Minister for coming to this important press conference this morning. We look forward to seeing you at our Sunday press conference, which, as you know, is a weekly event, and we will have more to say on national issues and matters affecting the citizens of our beloved republic. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend and good afternoon.